So, hello, vinyl community. It's Bill here again with another video. And this time it's going to be based on something that I picked up on in a charity shop. So, this was in my local charity shop. Six pounds, I think I paid for it. All sorts of details about various sessions and musicians. I'll show you close-ups later. Uh, Photo of Memphis and probably one of the Sun recording studios, but there were more than one. And some photographs as well. And including a very interesting one of Elvis Presley. So this was published by uh, Martin Hawkins of Ashford in Kent, England, together with Colin Escott of Ottawa, Ontario, in Canada in June 1975. So, yeah, this it's almost like a fanzine, I think, to Sun Records. But yeah, how did they get their information? I think there's acknowledgements to Shelby Singleton and Paul Martin of the Shelby Singleton Corporation in Nashville, who afforded us access to the tape inventory, the AFM files, and Miss Marion Heisker's notebook, and also gave us listening facilities. So Marion Keisker, if I remember rightly, was Sam Phillips' secretary at Sun Records. So I thought, armed with this, I'd show three LPs and a couple of CDs. So the first LP I'm going to show you is not rock and roll, but blues. So this is something that reissued on the Charlie record label, and it's Sun, The Roots of Rock, Volume 2, Sam's Blues. So I'm not sure if Volume 1 is also blues related or whether it is rock and roll. But yeah, photos of Sam Phillips here and Little Milton. So this is interesting in that one side is devoted to Howling Wolf and includes Howling for My Baby and California Boogie and CV Wine Blues, plus That's All Right. We will come back to That's All Right shortly. And then side two is almost exclusively Little Milton, but has a Houston Boynes Carry My Business On, and that's session 291, take number one. So yeah, and the rest of it is Little Milton got that rode that train all night long, and somebody told me Running Wild Blues. So yeah, and there's session details here. That's starting with blues because I think Sam Phillips' first love was black country blues music, and he wanted that great blues music to be available to lots of people, and therefore he set up the recording studio in Memphis. But yes, a few years, I think that was 1952. But a few years later, there was a young man walked into, oh, he walked in, I think, to record a record for his mum. And that lady, who was called Marion Keisker, set up the recording for Elvis Presley to make a record to give to his mother. So this was about a year before Elvis and the Son collection, and That's All Right, Mama, written by Arthur Crudup. So yeah, this I've seen this on various lists. Son collection. I think this is actually released on the RCA record label, who bought Elvis's contract from Sam Phillips, and I think saved the Sun records for quite a while. So yeah, I'll get to show you now some. I hope the quality is good enough. Some photos of rare Sun records that were on display in the Sun Studios when I visited there around this time last year, actually. So, yeah, we have how many tracks? About 16 great tracks here. So we includes Blue Moon by Rodgers and Hart. We've got Mystery Train, which is a blues standard, uh, credited to Parker and Phillips. Not sure if that's Tom Parker coming one or not. And then there's Good Rocking Tonight by Roy Brown. And I'm Left, You're Right, She's Gone. And Blue Moon of Kentucky. I think that's a Bill Monroe composition. So yeah, this is, no, That's All Right, Mama changed the course of music history. And I think that record was played on local radio stations in Memphis almost 24 hours a day when it was first released. Everybody wanted a bit of Elvis, and to hear that white boy singing black music. So, yeah, Sun wouldn't be Sun without some of The Killer. And yeah, this is a Sun collection. So great songs on here. Lewis Boogie. My name is Jerry Lee Lewis from Louisiana. Gonna play a little boogie on this here piano. And that's why I'm doing YouTube videos and not singing in a band. So yeah, Lewis Boogie, Great Balls of Fire, whole lot of shaking going on. Those last two are probably the big hits. But yeah, he had a long successful career until I think, well, it was it was quite good until he came to the UK to visit, and they discovered that Jerry Lee Lewis was married to his cousin, and they got married when she was 14 or 15 or something. Very scandalous at the time, and I'm not sure which of the daily newspapers in the UK broke that news, but yeah, that kind of kiboshed his career for a while. Then he came back and became a country star, and nice photographs and details of other albums that are available. Yeah, uh, Jerry Lee Lewis does the great sort of rock and roll standards here. So Good Golly Miss Molly, What I Say by Ray Charles, Johnny B. Good, Sweet Little 16, Jailhouse Rock, really great rock and piano. He was such a showman. So that's three LPs there. So that last one was a double album. And I'm going to show you now this double CD collection called Sun Records, Whole Lot of Shaking Going On. Quite a list there, total of 60 tracks, and includes a whole lot of shaking going on by uh, Jerry Lee Lewis. This collection covers the whole gambit of Sun Records. So you've got the rockabilly, rock and roll, early rock and roll stuff. You've got Charlie Rich, Who Will the Next Fool Be? And what else have we got by Charlie Rich? Lonely Weekends. So sort of sad and lonesome, sort of country music. And then there's also a couple of really good tracks by Little Junior's Blue Flames, which is Mystery Train and Feeling Good. And then we've got there's the Miller Sisters, Got You on My Mind. And I think there was another, the Kirby Sisters, so a bit like the Andrews Sisters, sort of vocal harmonies. But yeah, we've also got Roy Orbison, who started his career with I Never Know and Go, 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 which when I listened to it just last night, uh, reminds me, well, I think it's the same song as Moving On Down the Line. So, yeah, interesting how some of these early rock and roll songs are maybe covered and given slightly different titles. I don't know if that helps with record sales or not, but a really good version by Roy Orbison. But Go 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 doesn't quite sound like the title of the track he's actually playing. And yeah, the great Johnny Cash. Uh, he sings Folsom Prison Blues, that sort of strumming guitar, chugga chugga chugga. Yeah, really good. And then there's some, I guess, novelty records. There's one by a group called, well, it's by a guy called Billy Lee Riley. I think his photos in the book, we'll have a look, called Flying Saucers Rock and Roll. And I think it starts with a vocal that sounds a bit like Donald Duck. But then there's another one by somebody called Roscoe Gordon called Cheese and Crackers. And yeah, I think it's about somebody visiting a psychiatrist. And the second CD finishes with Goodnight Irene, which was a Lead Belly track and covered here by Johnny Cash. And there was also Carl Mann, a really nice song called Mona Lisa. And the other one that you'll probably know from rock and roll compilations is a instrumental track called Raunchy, and that's by Bill Justice. And I think he acted as like a A&R man for Sun Records. So yeah, that's Carl Mann there, looking very dapper. And we've got Billy Riley, and yeah, who would that be standing on top of a grand piano? None other than Jerry Lee Lewis. So the book itself is split into the blues sessions, the country sessions, and photos of Carl Perkins with Johnny Cash. And then finally wanted to speak about the Million Dollar Quartet. I have this on vinyl. I have got I'll show you the sleeve for it, which I have framed. So my daughter gave me a coin, a commemoration coin celebrating the Million Dollar Quartet. And this is a famous photograph. I think it's been hand colored on this CD version. But yeah, there's a story of after Elvis's contract had been sold to RCA. I think it was around Christmas time. I think 10th of December or so. No, 4th of December 1956. that Elvis popped into the Sun Studios. And yeah, one of the things on that various artists compilation is that when we look at the musicians, Jerry Lee Lewis did a lot of session work playing on a lot of these lesser known uh, Sun tracks. And yeah, modest as he is, he says that they're great because I was playing on them. But yeah, it's got this is actually a two CD set. So disc one is the Million Dollar Quartet sessions, where they were sort of jamming in the studio, and Sam Phillips flipped the switch and recorded them doing lots of gospel songs. And there's Brown Eyed Handsome Man. They do they don't quite know the lyrics to it. I think it's maybe newly in the charts. They're big fans of Chuck Berry, and they're doing that. So I think there's a few times they do Brown-Eyed Handsome Man, and then they do Don't Be Cruel, Reconsider Baby, and yeah, the gospel ones of Peace in the Valley, Down by the Riverside, and Blessed Jesus Hold My Hand. I can't remember when this was first released, but yeah, it was a long, long time after Sam Phillips had flicked that switch to record what was going on in the studio. But yeah, this is a compilation with original Sun recordings on disc two. So they've got That's All Right. They've got I Don't Care If the Sun Don't Shine by Elvis, You're a Heartbreaker. And then you've got Carl Perkins, who was, yeah, they kept saying this was the holy trinity of rock and roll plus Carl Perkins. It's maybe a bit of a disservice to Carl, but yeah, he's of course famous for Blue Suede Shoes, which Elvis covered, and I think Elvis maybe had a bigger hit with it. But yeah, Carl Perkins' Blue Suede Shoes was released first on Sun Records and was a hit in its own right. And then we've got some other Carl Perkins. I think he struggled to get a follow-up hit. I think there was the one called Matchbox. So there's quite a few tracks by Jerry Lee Lewis. Uh, yeah, things like The Great Speckled Bird and Hand Me Down My Walking Cane. Will the Circle Be Unbroken? Which is, yeah, I think, is that the Carter family? Certainly a standard from Country Music Hall of Fame. So, yeah, so some quite obscure uh, Jerry Lee Lewis on this. But yeah, I'll also show some photos of Sun Studios, including, I think, BB King and U2 recorded When Love Comes to Town in the original Sun Studios. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed that. And I'll show some excerpts from this book, which cost me all of £6. And yeah, this must have been a labor of love. And yeah, when the internet comes along, was that 25 or so years later, then you've got all that information at your fingertips. Bye just now. My next video will be my 100th, according to YouTube uh, Creation Studios, whatever it's called. So I'm going to do a special video for my 100th, and I'll leave you dangling there. I don't know, Stuart, if you're still watching. Uh, Shout out to my new subscribers. Yeah, thanks for bearing with me, and thanks for joining. So uh, I'll be back soon. Take care. Bye just now.